Alright, hello everyone. My name is Alice and welcome back to NetLab. Today we're going to focus on Lab 9.1.2.5, Installing Linux in a Virtual Machine. Make sure you have your PDF open, your worksheet downloaded, and then click on this link before logging in with your username and password. Select New Lab Reservation, Schedule Lab for myself, CIS190C, Cisco IT Essentials V8, and scroll down to Lab 9.1.2.5. I want to take this lab right away, so I'm going to click right below the red line. Remember, you cannot select a time that is above the red line. If you want to take the lab later, simply select anywhere below the red line that works for you. I'm going to give myself a little extra time because I'm instructing, but you should always give yourself more time than you think you need. Because I want to start right away, and I've scheduled it as such, I will now see a green Enter Lab button. If you've scheduled your lab for later, you won't see it until your time has officially begun. You may remember how in an earlier instructional video, when we were installing Windows in a virtual machine, I mentioned that Linux is by far less resource-intensive than Windows is, especially when you are creating a virtual machine. Today we're going to see that in action. To start, you want to click on Windows 10.os. Click or hit the spacebar to get to the login prompt. Then log in with capital NDG, lowercase, labpass123, exclamation mark. Go to the bottom left search box, type in Hyper-V Manager, and then click or hit enter to launch it. You should see that we have a Android OS and Ubuntu Server OS virtual machine. However, we're going to be installing a virtual machine today, so we are ignoring these two. Go to the New section in the right-hand sidebar, select Virtual Machine, and select Next. We're going to call this virtual machine Lubuntu. And we are going to store the virtual machine in a different location than we normally would. To do that, select Browse, click Local Second Disk, right-click, New, and Folder. We're going to name it Lubuntu as well, and we are going to select that as our destination folder. Make sure that the location is e:/Lubuntu, and then hit Next. Because we are going to be taking advantage of some newer virtualization features and UEFI BIOS, we want to select Generation 2 instead of Generation 1. Also, because the Linux distribution we are installing does not require 32-bit operating system support. Our first advantage when it comes to installing Linux over Windows as a virtual machine is we can give it far less memory and expect similar performance. For example, we're going to leave it at 1 GB of RAM. You must uncheck the box that says Use Dynamic Memory for this virtual machine. Then click Next. We do not care about networking, so we simply click Next. And our next advantage that we have over Windows is that it will take up far less virtual hard drive space. For example, we can lower it from 127 GB to merely 10 GB. Then we will click Next. Now we're going to choose what source we are going to use to install our operating system. We're going to select that we want to install it from a bootable image file. This is also known as a .iso file, click Browse, select Desktop, and double-click on Toolbox. Then select ISOs and Lubuntu 22041. Make sure that it's opened, and then select Next. You're now at the summary page. Make sure to go back and double-check that your settings are the exact same as mine. Once you've done that, you can click Finish. You'll now see that Lubuntu is in our virtual machine list, and it's listed as off. Before we start it up, we want to modify some settings. To do so, simply right-click on Lubuntu and select Settings. Because we're installing a new operating system and booting it from a quote-unquote ISO file, we're going to need to disable Secure Boot. Secure Boot typically prevents booting an operating system from a flash drive or other external sources. So simply uncheck the box that says Enable Secure Boot, and then click OK. Now that we've done that, we can simply double-click Lubuntu, and then select Start. You may now hit Enter on Try or Install Lubuntu. Now that we've loaded into the desktop, we can simply double-click on Install Lubuntu 22.04 LTS. The computer does not satisfy some of the recommended requirements for installing Lubuntu. This is most likely because of some misconfiguration with processors or amount of RAM or something of the sort. However, unlike Windows, these limitations will not stop you from installing Lubuntu. It will simply turn off certain features that you can re-enable later. Make sure that the American English option is selected. Then select Next. We can keep our time zone region the same, it doesn't really matter, so we can just click Next. And we can keep the default English keyboard. Now, you'll want to select Erase Disk. If you want to adjust how much Linux gets of your hard drive, then you can select Manual Partitioning. Otherwise, you can simply select Erase Disk, which is what we're going to do. Then we will click Next. Our name is sysadmin, and our password is the same that we use to log in. ndg labpass123 exclamation mark, and then re-enter. Okay. Now we can simply click Next. This is now the final page that we will see before it will start the installation. This is where we can review the changes that are going to be made and make sure that they are what we want. Make sure that what you see on your Linux distribution matches what you see here. Then select Install and Install Now. And now we wait. Once it is finished, you can simply select Media, DVD drive, and eject Lubuntu 22. Now, you can shut down the machine and start it again. That red lock icon means secure boot is off. We've now arrived at the login prompt. To log in to sysadmin, simply type the password that we typed earlier, capital NDG, lowercase labpass, 123, exclamation mark. Now we're in. We're now going to play a little bit with some of the applications that come pre-installed with Lubuntu. To start, go to the lower left bird icon, Internet, and Firefox. Once that is opened, click it again, go to System Tools, and Q Terminal. Can minimize it, and go to Application menu, and Office, to find LibreOffice Writer. When you're done playing around with these, you can then close them. I'm closing them like this because I don't fully have access to the close button, but it is what it is. Now that we've done that, we can simply shut down the machine. To do that, click the lower left bird icon, select Leave, and then Shut Down. Then click Yes. Congratulations! Your lab is now complete. Make sure that you've answered all the questions on your document, and you're done.